So you're potentially trying to, get lots of this stuff right here, get up to this rank as quick as possible. Stick around, because that's what we'll be talking about today. What's up, my friends? Welcome to an all new video. I feel I should probably disclose that this is not real money. This is fake prop money from wish.com. YouTube doesn't pay me that great. I'm not that big of a YouTuber to be making some big ball of money that I just have around stacks of cash. But you know what's not fake is my advice here. So I'm gonna be giving you some advice, some possible paths if you're trying to, get up to the rank of sergeant, beyond, whatever, as fast as possible. I had a video recently that I did about, which MOSs rank up the fastest, and that's not what this is talking about. This is talking about some ways that potentially you can just fast track to rank faster. Because there are some different ways that you can, yes, come into the military as a specific rank, more than just another previous video that I talked about, where I talked about how you can come into the Army with a little bit of rank. There is some parts in there that we are going to touch on a little bit, and then some additional things that I have not yet talked about in previous videos about coming into the Army with a little extra rank, or quickly get into that rank in a faster way than you possibly could just joining the Army just flat out. So that is kind of the focus here. All right, so one of the main ones, of course, I've kind of talked about it before, but obviously going officer, right? You want to go to college, you go to ROTC, or you already have a bachelor's degree, you do OCS, boom, you can try to get commissioned as a lieutenant. That gets you a lot better than E1 pay, right? But we're not really talking about officers here. We're probably gonna mainly focus on the enlisted side. Maybe you already have a bachelor's degree and you don't wanna go the officer side. You don't wanna go to the dark side, as we commonly refer to it. You wanna stay on the enlisted side. Well, I've talked about this one also before, but having a bachelor's degree will allow you to come into the Army as an E4, as a specialist. So obviously that is a great way to just jump right into the Army, be an E4, be a specialist, probably be able to easily make a sergeant, and the requirements, you still have to meet the requirements to be in the time of grade and time of service before you can move up to sergeant. But there's also some other ways you can fast track even beyond that. Now, these ways are not like fast, easy ways or anything. I mean, some of them are fast ways, but not easy ways, all right? So let's put it that way, all right? Don't think that there's like just an easy button you can hit and I can, boom, just all of a sudden, bam, slap that sergeant on there and become a sergeant. That's the right way? Yeah, that's the right way. And all of a sudden become a sergeant like that. That is not how it is. These other paths are probably difficult paths, all right? But if it was easy, then everybody would just be like, oh, screw it, I'm just gonna jump past a bunch of ranks and just go straight to sergeant. No, these paths do require a lot of extra work. But if that is your goal still, is that you wanna get up into a higher ranking and you don't care if it takes extra work, you understand that, then great, you'll probably be fine, hopefully. The first way of possibly just jumping up into rank, really not an easy way, but that is going to Special Forces. That is because if you manage to make it through all of that stuff, you can easily get promoted to sergeant when you are in the Special Forces. You don't have anything in the Special Forces as far as actual Special Forces individuals that are inside of a group or inside of a team and everything like that, that are E4 and below. That doesn't work that way. You must be a sergeant to be on a Special Forces team. So if you've made it through everything, then they're gonna promote you to a sergeant. There is ways to still be like a private or a specialist or whatever in the Special Forces, like as in the unit. You're just not actually one of the Special Forces individuals that actually has like the tab that says Special Forces, because the Special Forces units still have all of those, other things that they need to support the unit, such as like commo and your transportation people, your cooks, or whatever the case might be, but they're just not actually like a Special Forces individual that's gone through SFAS and the Q course. People that have actually done the whole 9 yards of doing SFAS and the Q course, they do become sergeants. Now, it's also not a thing that you can just do like straight out of high school. I've talked about this before in my Special Forces video about how to become Special Forces, but you are gonna have to, age up a little bit. You can't just simply be 18 and join the Special Forces. If you want to be in the Special Forces, you have to be 20 years old, and also under 30 if that matters to you. But you have to be 20 years old, so that means you cannot just simply graduate from high school at 18 and join the Special Forces. You're gonna have to at least wait a couple years. The reason for that is they want someone with a little bit of experience. And I talk about that in Special Forces video, so we won't kind of reiterate that. We're just talking about ranking up faster. So you're gonna have to be 20 years old, and then you have to go to SFAS, which is the selection course. You have to get selected, not just pass the course, but get selected, then go to the Q course, which is their qualification course, which takes a long time. And if you manage to make it through all of that, they will promote you to sergeant. Now, you're not going from an E1 to a sergeant, you're actually starting off as a PFC. So you're starting off as an E3, and that kind of requires a little bit of explaining too. There are some different ways that you can kind of come into the Army as an E3, and I'm gonna explain some of those as well. so that it helps you if you wanted to go that path of going special forces so that you can rank up faster. How do I get into the Army as a PFC? First off, you have one way, which is going through college, right? You get an associate's degree, then you can come into the Army as a private first class, or you can do the junior ROTC program in high school. If you're someone who hasn't even started high school yet, well then maybe that's a plan for the future. If you're someone currently in high school, then hopefully you already started junior ROTC, so that way you can get all the way through it. Or if you already went through JROTC, then that's a potential way to get that PFC rank. Another way that you can kind of get that E3 is by doing the Future Soldier program, which is a program that you do when you first join the Army, you're about to join the Army, kind of the early process that you go through the recruiters and they kind of prepare you for the Army and get you ready. You go through a certain amount of weeks or whatever, and if you complete those amount of weeks, then you could potentially come into the Army as a PFC. Your recruiters are probably already tracking that kind of a thing. They probably know that, hey, this guy wants to go 18 X-ray, he needs to be a PFC, he needs to be 20 years old. We're gonna put him through a Future Soldier program so that he can come in with that PFC rank and meet the requirements so that we can send him off to 18 X-ray for that contract. Maybe that's the contract you're going for. There are a few other select ways that we can possibly make PFC, but that's the goal, right? If you want to do Special Forces to rank up higher, make sure you come in after you're 20 years old, but before you're 30, and do something to get PFC, and then hopefully you can make it through SFAS and the Q course and become a sergeant pretty quickly. Individuals that want to be a pilot, that's another potential path, right? You become a warrant officer. So you go through the WOCS, or I forget what the acronym is, but they have a specific program for, streets to seats or something they call it. But basically it's a program to go directly from just being a civilian to being a warrant officer in the United States Army, but to be a pilot. You're obviously gonna have to meet the requirements to become a pilot in the first place, so you're gonna have to look a little bit into that, but that will also allow you to kind of, jump into it. You're not gonna be a enlisted soldier, you're not necessarily like an officer as a lieutenant and captain and everything like that, but you're still an officer as in a warrant officer, but they're kind of in their own realm. It's much different lifestyle. But that does allow you to kind of come in with a lot more rank than you would if you just came straight out of basic training as an E1, and allows you to jump up and pay a little bit better and kind of get through the ranks a little bit quicker because you're starting off as being a warrant officer. But if you're stuck on wanting to be like an enlisted soldier, you don't want to be not even a warrant officer, you want to be an enlisted soldier, there are also other ways that you can do so based on the MOS. There are certain MOSs that will kind of reward you for going into this MOS and allow you to be able to come into that MOS with some rank. Also, like I said, still not easy paths, all right? None of these paths are easy paths, but they're a possible potential way to get into the Army and just get up and rank quicker. One of those MOSs is a 42 Romeo, which is a musician in the United States Army. Because yes, you can be a musician in the United States Army. I have a whole MOS Monday episode that I've done on this MOS, but you can join the Army to be a musician. If you're asking the question, why the hell do we have musicians in the Army? Mostly for like morale, for ceremonies, for a lot of different purposes, but you cannot be like a musician, like I'm interested in learning an instrument and I wanna join the Army band. No, you already have to be a pretty accomplished musician. There's a lot of requirements with it. Like one of the big ones is that you have to do an audition. So you're gonna have to do like 1 or 2 or 3, whatever auditions it takes in front of someone to prove that you're an established musician, you know what the hell you're doing, so that way they don't have to teach you stuff. They don't have to teach you how to play that instrument to be able to perform for these ceremonies or for these, concerts or whatever the case is. So you have to get through that audition, and if they, feel that you are talented enough in that, instrument, then sure, then they'll allow you to go through the Army. You still have to go through the basic, basic training stuff, and then AIT and all that kind of thing, and meet all the same Army requirements that every other soldier has to do. But going through all of that stuff, after you've completed your AIT for 42 Romeo, you will become a specialist. So, I mean, that's pretty good, right? You don't have to have college or anything, even though a lot of the individuals in MOS have like some kind of college degree in like, music or something along those lines. But if you're someone that just, maybe that you've just grown up all your life around, an instrument, maybe you played in the high school band, you've just really established yourself as, a musician, and you can pass that audition even like straight out of high school, then great. You can get to come into the Army as an E4, as a specialist, without even having to have a bachelor's degree like some people need to do. So that MOS will allow you to add a little bit of rank. There's another MOS though that'll also allow you to come in with a rank, Also a bit of a stretch for some of you out there because this one's a little bit more limited on individuals of who's going to be qualified to be able to come into this MOS. But that MOS is a 09 Lima, and that is a translator. So this usually only applies to people from foreign countries who come to the United States that speak fluently one of these languages that they're looking for translators, and can also pass like an English test, you know, to make sure they know both languages really proficiently. But if you go through all that program and you pass and you get through the AIT and basic training and everything like that, those individuals also are awarded the rank of E4 or specialist. So that being another MOS that, you know, doesn't necessarily need to have a bachelor's degree to get that E4 rank, but simply just being in that MOS and qualifying and getting past all the training for it and everything like that could award you as an E4. But again, that's probably gonna be a little bit more limited of people watching this video because it, like I said, it requires you to be a native speaker of that language that they're looking for. Now I have one more that I'll kind of mention in here that may be helpful for some individuals. This one isn't kind of quite like the other ones where you can just kind of work your ass off, you know, from the streets to in the Army to boom, get into this MOS or this special, you know, field or whatever, and then getting higher ranking. This one does require you to kind of get in the Army, get your feet wet for a little bit, and then maybe potentially move up into this other position to get ranked quicker. And so what I'm talking about is SFAB. It's still fairly new. I think they only started it back in 2017. So they're still establishing a lot of things with it, but the special, hang on, what's the damn acronym for it? Security Forces Assistance Brigade, right? Not the Special Forces. I was gonna say Special Forces Assistance Brigade. That's not it. It's Security Forces Assistance Brigade, SFAB. There you go. Those individuals will allow you to be able to make it up to a sergeant a little bit faster than maybe certain other paths may kind of hold you back from. The way that one kind of works is you already have some experience in the Army, and you decide that you want to try to get into the Special Forces. Keep on trying to say Special Forces. You want to try to get into SFAB, then you can kind of apply for that, all right? They kind of have been mixing around different ways of how to get in. I've kind of heard from some people that initially got into SFAB when it was still pretty new. It was just a simple interview and boom, they were in. Some other individuals that I've talked to more recently, then they had to do an interview, plus they had to do like a little qualification kind of course type of thing and a few other things here and there before they can get in. Maybe not quite as high speed as like SFAB to get into the Special Forces, but still not just something you can just, you know, breeze walk into. Is that a term, breeze walk into? We're starting that, it's a new term. But let's say you're a soldier that gets up to specialist promotable, right? Because that's kind of what you need to be to, I think, get into the SFAB, is to be an E4 promotable. And let's say you're in one of the MOSs that they, you know, allow in the SFAB, but the cutoff scores to make E5 or to make sergeant for your MOS is really high and it can be really hard for you to make. Well, that can kind of definitely benefit you if you can get into the SFAB, because they will allow individuals who are E4 promotable and qualify for SFAB to bump up to the rank of E5 without having to meet point requirements. They will still, I think, send you to the leadership course for the NCO Academy and everything like that, I believe, but you don't have to meet their points requirements for that MOS. So if the point requirements for your MOS happens to be 798, 600, whatever the case is, they don't care what points you have. They're just gonna go and be like, okay, you're already promotable, you're gonna probably go to the NCO Academy, boom, here you go, E5, you're a sergeant now. So that is definitely very helpful for MOSs that they're accepting, but also maybe the point requirements to make E5 makes it really difficult for you to make E5 in that MOS. Well, SFAB might be an option for you to be able to get promoted to E5 without having to, you know, bust your ass trying to get college credits and get all this other stuff so you can make those points to make the cutoff scores. Now, just in case you did not see that video that I did before on MOSs that rank up the fastest, I got it right up here for you, conveniently located. Or if you want to check out my latest upload, check out this guy right down here. Links in the description, social media, all that fun stuff. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Christopher Chaos. I'll see you next time. See ya.